Welcome to Live, Love, Engage, the podcast where we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. I am your host, Gloria Grace Rand, the insightful copywriter and founder of the L.O.V.E method. My mission is to help you stop doubting yourself so you can live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically. Namaste and welcome to another edition of Live, Love, Engage. Welcome those of you who are watching live on Facebook or LinkedIn, and welcome to those of you who might be watching the recording on YouTube or who are listening to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice. I'm so glad to have you here today because we're going to be talking about a subject that is one that I have, unfortunately, a lot of past experience with and occasionally still some present experience with. Oh, let's face it, we're human. So it's about self-sabotage and why self-sabotage is such a problem. But at first I thought it might be a good way to start off with explaining what the heck do I mean by self-sabotage? Well, it's basically engaging in behaviors or activities that take you away from your goals or take you away, push you farther away from achieving what it is that you want to achieve in life. So it can take many different forms, and frankly, it can affect all walks of life, whether you're an entrepreneur and as I am, but certainly you can engage in self-sabotaging behaviors, whether you are an employee or an employer or a parent or a spouse. Let's face it, it is, you know what it is really? Now that I think about it, it's really about doing things like when you have to do something. Let's put it this way. Here's an example of a way that we can maybe self-sabotage. It's say that you want to do something or someone wants you to do something, and you find ways of getting out of it by self-sabotaging yourself. And how that can show up is that perhaps all of a sudden you come down with a cold, let's say, and now you can actually legitimately say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm sick and I can't do that anymore." Now it's a way of self-sabotage, but you're also sabotaging someone else. So let me put this in a little bit more personal terms. Yeah, I'm getting away from it because I don't want to say I'm self-sabotaging this episode. So let's talk about it. It shows up in procrastination, for one thing. That's a big one. I would say in a lot of times in the past, and even not so distant past, when there again is maybe something that I either need to do or want to do, and for whatever reason, and we'll go into that in a minute, I don't want to do it. So instead, I will procrastinate. I will do some other sort of busy work or something else, anything to avoid doing the thing that needs to be done. And I'll tell you, one thing is I don't like cleaning house, and that could be that's an example of sometimes where I might need to clean the house, but I'll kind of put it off at the last minute and then have to rush to get it done. And when you rush, that is a type of self-sabotaging behavior because now you're having to you wind up stressing yourself out to accomplish something instead of just planning ahead, not procrastinating, and just getting it done. That's one way. Another way that it shows up, and it has showed up in my life more times than I like to admit, but I will tell you, to give you an example of over the last, well, since 2015, so good grief. Yeah, it's almost been 7 years now. I have lost and regained pretty much the same 40 pounds about 3 times. And if any of my friends may have noticed this, it's like my face balloons up, the rest of me balloons up, and then I get myself back together again, and I go on a program that I use. It's called Optavia, which I love, and it helps me to release that extra weight. So why do I do this? And let's face it, my weight has been an issue, frankly, my whole life. This has been something that has been, I mean, I remember writing in my diary when I was, I think, 9 years old, maybe younger, something about that I weighed 100 pounds or something. And I know it was a lot back then. So this has been something I've dealt with all of my life. I've had good times and I've had bad times, and it's that yo-yo diet syndrome so many people talk about. I have learned over the years, though, why I've done this. It is because I engage in emotional eating. So, to give you a concrete example of self-sabotage. So, in 2015, that was the first year I actually started the Optavia program, and I actually lost quite a bit. I think I lost about 45 pounds, I think, or 40 on that first time. And then as I was going through that process, that was also when my sister was diagnosed with cancer. And so I stayed on the program all the while I was out there with her in Tucson. I would have my husband would ship the food out to me so that I'd be able to stay on the plan, because it does, part of what it uses is or meal plans anyway, and then you supplement it with other healthy food. Anyway, regardless, I did well until 2017, because at the end of 2016, my sister passed from cancer, and I decided to give myself permission to eat my grief. And wouldn't you know it, I put all of that weight back on. That was a really destructive example of self-sabotage, because here I was looking really good. I was feeling really good. I had energy and I was fitting back into single digit clothes and it was awesome. And yet, what did I do? I put all that weight back on, and it got to the point where I realized when I wasn't fitting into my clothes anymore, and I had gotten rid of a lot of my fat clothes from the closet and my dresser. It was like, okay, girl, you need to get real here and decide, what do you want to do? Are you going to continue down this self-sabotaging path that is going to only cause health problems down the road? Because my mother was overweight all of her life, and she wound up with heart disease and I think even diabetes and high blood pressure. I am thankful I don't have any of those issues. So I went back on the program and I got the weight off again. And then life intervened last year, and things happened in my personal life that I decided to again feed my feelings, and I put that weight back on again. And so now I'm doing it again. I'm back on Optavia. I've got, let's see, from my highest weight in December when I started, let's see, I think I've got 14 pounds off so far. Yes, I've got 14 pounds off so far. And I haven't been doing as diligently even this year, because like I said, my highest point was in December. I wrote it down, and I've still been, but the last 2 weeks have been good. I'm back on track. So that's an example. And I want to share a quote with you, really, about what is behind this self-sabotage. And I found this quote online and I thought it was really pertinent, and I wanted to share it with you. It's from Teresa Riazzi. And the quote says, "We sabotage the great things in our lives because deep down, whew, we don't feel worthy of having great things." Mm, get a little emotional with that. Wow. I'm going to say that again, see if I can do it without crying. We sabotage the great things in our lives because deep down, we don't feel worthy of having great things. And that's ultimately what self-sabotage is. That's where it comes from. It's that feeling of not being worthy. And and this has been something that I have engaged in really my entire life. And it was really only since my sister passed that as I worked through and I wrote the book Live, Love, Engage and and understood that the love method that I call it my divine download when God, source, whatever gave it to me, that I had to learn how to love myself. I had to learn to really realize that I am worthy of having great things or having a great body, for instance, having a great business. I've sabotaged myself in my business over the years as well, not doing the things I need to do that would bring me clients or things like that. So, uh, it can really be a troublemaker to do engaging in this self-sabotaging behavior. And uh, I had been working with a client recently who the way that she has been self-sabotaging herself is focusing on external causes for all of her problems. She's blaming society and the culture and all of these things. And I had to really work with her to help her see that it really starts with us. We have the power to create the life that we want to live. And it starts with doing some soul searching and really looking and seeing what is the benefit this behavior is causing. Uh, what sorry, let's scratch that. Let me restate that. What is the benefit that this self-sabotaging behavior is creating? Because I will tell you, there is a benefit to it. Whatever it is, whether it's procrastination, whether it is self-medication with food or alcohol, for instance, or something, what it does is it keeps you, or at least for me, it keeps you in your comfort zone because it might not be a comfortable comfort zone, but it's one that we're familiar with. Ah, that's a better word. It's one that we're familiar with. And let's face it, most of us do not like change. We resist it. Ah, but resistance is futile, as they say. And also what you resist persists. So there comes a time where you have to make a decision and say, okay, I can continue down this road and I can continue to be self sabotaging and I can push people away with this behavior, or I can push clients away. I'm not going to be able to grow my business, or I'm going to be, uh, creating health problems for myself by engaging in behaviors. Maybe it is either taking alcohol or too much food, whatever it is. Or I can go within and start paying attention to that inner voice inside. Whether you say it's God, source, your higher self, your soul, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, but to spend some time going within, to be still and know, as it says in the Bible, and decide, okay, is this the way I want to live my life, or do I want to make a change? And when you go within, I believe, and this is my belief, that you will be guided to the right path. And I want to share with you right now um, uh, the daily word from Unity. This was yesterday's, actually. The word was guidance, and I think it's apropos for today. So it starts off with the affirmation is, God is my source of inspiration. I am guided on the right path. And then the reading says, when I think of guidance, I recall mentors who guided me and encouraged me along the way. I have looked to them for inspiration as I work toward my goals. They may have been teachers or coaches, coworkers and friends, or supervisors and colleagues. and in my spiritual life as church leaders or teachers. Each one has given me guidance on my path and provided a safe haven for me to talk about my thoughts and feelings. My most important confidant is God. When I seek guidance, I retreat to a safe haven of prayer and rest in an awareness of God. In this quiet place, I experience a peace that fills my soul and energizes me with purpose. Answers become clear, and I see the path before me. God within is my light, guiding me upon the path of life. And then they always have a scripture reading. This is from Galatians 6, verse 6. Those who are taught the word must share in all good things with their teacher. So, the point I want to make here is that I think we're all going to engage in self sabotage at some point in our lives. The, the thing is, we need to be able to recognize it and acknowledge it as such, and then say, there are going to be times where you can actually give yourself permission to self sabotage because there are times when we need to. And for me, it almost comes down to a bit of self care because perhaps it is time to step back a little bit, maybe ho- hold off on a project because you need to give yourself some time. And then you recognize that there also then comes a point where you're going to have to say, okay, I need to get back on the saddle, as they say, and get back to work and get back to doing what is going to lead me towards the goal that I want to achieve, whether that is, doing something with your health, whether that is doing something in your business. It starts with going within and listening to that soft voice within. And it also can help to seek some guidance from a counselor, a coach, a teacher, a friend, someone who may be able to actually point out ways that you also may not even be aware that you are engaging in a self sabotaging behavior because sometimes we have blinders on and we don't see it. We don't realize it. When we get so stuck in the weeds, sometimes we're not aware of it. And that's where working with someone else, having someone with an outside perspective can really help you then because they can point things out to you. I know when I've worked with coaches, for instance, had them repeat back to me something I said. And it was something like I was being unkind toward myself in my words. And they said, "Do you realize what you just said?" And I'll be like, "No, what did I say?" And they would say it back to me, and I go, "Really? Oh, wow. Okay. I need to be more aware of that." And that's what working with coaches can do for you. They can help you to start becoming aware so that number one, they can make you aware of the self sabotaging behavior so that now you can be on the lookout for it. And then you can say, oh, do I really want to do this? Or do I want to make a different choice? Because that's also the beauty of being a human being is that we have free will and we have the ability to choose in any given moment what we want to do with our life. So if you need support in this matter, if you need an outside perspective, I would love to possibly be that person for you. I don't know, but we could explore it. We could talk about it. Go to engagewithgloria.com and set up an appointment. And let's see if it's something that I might be able to point out to you and get you moving back on the path that you want. So go to engagewithgloria.com, set up that appointment. And the other thing I want to do before we end today's broadcast is I want to share with you something that I have found to be a really powerful tool to help me and to help others let go of these feelings of perhaps being not worthy, feeling that we're not worthy. And that's where some of this self sabotage comes from. So I would love to share with you today a light language message to help you release some of that. So if you've got something that's keeping you from that's you're finding yourself self-sabotaging, that maybe this can free that energy up so that you can start moving forward and doing the things that you want to do. So as I've said before, if you are listening to this in particular on the replay, if you're listening on uh, Apple or Pandora or something, one of the other podcast platforms, and you are in your car, perhaps, I would just ask that you instead pause this for now and pick this back up a little bit later when you are someplace where you can be seated or lying down, and set the intention when you do that, that the message you receive today will be for your highest good, for your soul's highest good, to help you to release whatever may be help keeping you in that self-sabotaging mode so that you can be able to move forward and do the things that you want to do today. So Yokonyachi to signale ka sokoyono ki ka he ya e sonyo ki ya sono ya to ke ya e sono ki ya he onka ye koyo to si ha ke ya onno ki ya leta si ka onna ke ka ho ye ya Sonoi kahe sahua, hasonya no kia tia, sonagia ke honyo toa, osoni kohe, onagia sonyo tia, sokonyo te kalea, sonokuya ke ha hoye, osonokia, osonoya koliatea, okanya no gigale kosho totea, okone, oye, sonokia, onokia tosia, osonoya no ki, konosinatea, sonoyaki, Osoki oche, anaki kapuya, oye hano, sonogi atika, onoki hase ati, sonoyoto he kanoki, oye sonoye kahote, Osonyo no okonoki ha honoki ate sono shiko koyosho kotoku asonyo no ki hayatoko asokonyatata sia. I hope that helps you today. I really do. And also, I should let you know that if that message did touch your heart in a way and you would like to experience a private light language session, I do offer those as well. So again, go to engagewithgloria.com, set up an appointment, and when we get on the call together, we'll talk about that. And I would love to be able to serve and support you as well. That is going to do it for us for this episode of Live, Love, Engage. Again, I thank you so much for those of you who were watching on LinkedIn and Facebook. I know I saw Robin Sheridan. Thank you for commenting. You're an awesome person, good friend of mine. Thank you for watching. And for those of you listening on the podcast, your favorite platform, thank you as well for listening. And I would also like to encourage you, if you got value out of this today, share it with a friend. And if you know somebody, maybe you see somebody that is doing a little self-sabotage and they're not aware of it, this might be a good act of love that you could share with them today. So Until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.